Looks like we are live. All right, let's do this. Mute that. Okay. Then. Yep. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're live right now with a special joint podcast between with Fede and I. My name is Michael. I'm one of the co-founders of Hummingbot, and we come out with you every Friday with Hummingbot Live, where we try to showcase the latest and greatest with Hummingbot. So today's a special one because Fede, the CTO and of Hummingbot, and my partner in running Bot Camp, the educational program that educates the Hummingbot community, is here in the Bay Area. Apologize. We're actually both tired because we were both working late on Hummingbot last night. So we both are our coffees. But because he's only rarely, we're both rarely in the same place at the same time because he lives in Argentina and I live in California. We thought that for this week's live stream, we just open it up to the audience and try to see what questions you guys have, and we'll try to answer it AMA, podcast style. So hey everyone, welcome to all the usual folks who join us every Friday, like Memento and Nobrega and some other folks. I see Saruth, hello. But overall, yeah, I would say everyone just put your questions in the chat on what you guys want us to talk about, whether it's about Hummingbot, about the crypto market in general, or even our thoughts on specific like trading strategies, exchanges and so forth. Obviously, we're not going to give any kind of like trading or investment advice because this is not what we do. But we are engineers, and we do hopefully will try to help you with any technical aspects of running strategies.
Memento says the sound is very low. I don't know if it's because the computer is.
Yeah. Let me try to fix the sound a bit. Yeah, I'm using the audio input here, so let's see. Actually, it looks like the audio, at least on our OBS, is pretty high. But if anyone else sees low sound, we can try to adjust the sound on our side.
But the third one is mic aux with.
This one is not actually. This one I'm gonna try to. This one I think is not supposedly not being used because this one is. Yeah, actually, well, we can just try. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. Because I actually thought I was capturing from here, but now I'm capturing here. But now there actually might be an echo.
I can take from.
Yeah, actually, usually I use like a headphone thing so I can hear what I'm saying. But okay. Anyway, yeah, let us know if you guys hear any audio issues. We're kind of streaming with both this mic audio and this audio input here. But if there's an echo, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. Okay, so there's one question from Ali already. So Ali says, "I want your help in determining my priorities and my advice." So starting with Star Capital. So actually, I think this is a good general topic, which is actually let me start a Claude thing here. So I did actually ask Claude to come up with some questions that the audience might have. So here are some questions here. So if you want us to go into any of the ones listed here, like kind of current state of DEX trading, deep dive into specific DEX strategies, using AI with Hummingbot, risk management, and so forth, like let us know. I just ask AI to generate this. We don't have to talk about any of it. But I'm also happy to go into other details. So actually, one thing I think Ali, I'm gonna mention. I think one thing we should always discuss is actually let me add to that list. So add topic, which I think is like how can a small trader with a small amount of capital get started, and where should they start? Okay, so let's add that topic that Ahmed mentioned. Hello, systematic. this is the special AMA podcast or AMA live stream that we're doing. So right now, I think for the first part, I just want to kind of get topics from the audience, see what you guys want to talk about. I'll add them into this loose agenda that I've created with Claude over here, and then I think we can basically kind of like get some more topics from the audience, try to refine this a bit, and then Fede and I can just kick off and start talking. One question from Archie: are you going to Scale and Die? Yeah, actually, we are going to be at the Solana conference next week in New York. Both the shipper die and the Scale and Die parts of it. So yeah, if you're in New York, let us know. I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to put together a side event this time because it's a bit tight. But I do think we'll be probably at the conference at very Solana events. So if you're there, please hit us up on Discord and we can try to meet up. Chat sound. Ahmed has a question, which I think is a good one to the chat, out of the chat, which is, can you execute Radium swap, execute a gateway, and buy and sell any token at Radium? Maybe I can go into a bit more detail on kind of how the new gateway is set up and how you can add tokens into it. Add topic, adding means like any token into gateway DEX connectors. Which types are supported and not supported, especially on Solana. Yeah, I can actually go into a bit more detail. There's actually kind of a bit of nuance in this topic because of the recent token extensions standard in Solana. So there are some differences in terms of which tokens we support and kind of how we support them.
I think that Stanislaw says that the sound is disturbing. I don't know if it's that would be two mics or.
Yeah, there might be two mics there. Actually, let me try this. Let me grab that. Grab this. Well, we can. Usually I do this with the sound, but probably this sound sometimes it's not good enough for all of us. Let's try this anyway.
Now you have production level podcast.
What? Yeah. This is the pro setup here. Okay. All right. So let's see. So this setup here. Oops. Okay. All right. So this is microphone. Mic. Hello.
No, but you have to add it.
Yeah.
That's it. The plus.
This is
No. Go to the at the bottom. There is a plus button. No.
Oh, I want to change the existing mic.
Ah, okay.
This one I think is already here. So this is so we want to use. Sure. Okay. So this was actually. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
No, he was saying not the sound, scale or die.
Oh, scale die. Okay, got it. Yeah. So yeah, I think this actually might be better. We actually are using two audio inputs. So let me try this right now like this. Hello. Okay. I think this is okay, but I think we have to talk maybe a bit closer. I feel like the sound.
He said that the sound is okay. Other people were saying that.
Okay, got it. Okay, so switch back to the old sound.
No, let's keep it a city.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's try like this because I think I won't use the microphone here. Let's do this, and then we can just hopefully. I think this should actually work because okay. Is this kind of worse?
First solution is better.
Okay, got it. So yeah, let's go with the first sound actually. I think this one. The problem with this is you have to be really close.
Yeah. Yeah, other people are saying that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Maybe you can start on. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Well, now it should be okay.
Yeah. It should be okay now because we went back to the first sound. So yeah, just give us feedback if it's not as good. But I think this one should be the best one. Okay. All right. So just continue on. I think let me just add a few more topics. So Ruth says, what are the best sex DEX strategies that still make sense with oversaturation of MBD bots? And then Amma said about the 3 courses. Is there any? I see. I think Ahmed. It sounds like he's looking for the radium-based strategies, which I think is it actually makes sense. Okay, all right. So yeah, let's go ahead and kind of like go into some of the topics that we discuss here. We just start kind of like maybe just like with a quick like state of DEX trading. We'll get into advice for small traders, how a trader with like even a small amount of capital as low as like $100. What can they do? Should they do? What should they avoid? And I think we'll then kind of get into the topic of sex DEX arbitrage in the MEV era and how to find opportunities for sex DEX arbitrage. Okay, so and then is there any more topics? Feel free to keep on asking them, and we'll try to add them to this list. All right, well, let's get started. We'll try to knock off the first one here, which is basically the current, the state of DEX trading. And I think that, to me, I think that the fact that DEX is really one of the most exciting things about crypto. Because when I first entered the industry in 2017, the idea of DEXs was a very kind of like far off notion. I actually remember this blog post. I mean, people were trying to make them happen with Uniswap. Well, actually, with the early days of Ether Delta, and then people were trying to like create order book exchanges like Radar Relay. It wasn't really until Uniswap came along, honestly, that I think it really catalyzed DEX trading because there was the problem was there was no liquidity. No one wanted to place orders in the order book on a DEX if they could do so on a SEX. So then people just when Uniswap came along, it finally allowed liquidity providers to have a much easier experience because they just deposit into a pool. Now, obviously, that creates like impermanent loss, right? So it's like I think if you just kind of do so naively as a DEX trader and just deposit assets in any pool, if you don't kind of manage your position, you deposit too narrow a range, you're gonna lose money. But I think as the DEX market has evolved, it's clear that to me that the role of DEXs is not the same as for SEXs, because for SEXs, it's order book. You have to have the exchange list your token. So it's a lot more work for both exchange and the token issuer to list a token on a SEX. Meanwhile, on the DEX, anyone can just create a pool, for any token. So, and I think you also have the binding curves like Pump, where people can buy off the binding curve, which is like AMM. So to me, the role for DEXs is to introduce and experiment with small tokens, new tokens, and the ones that actually reach critical mass, those are the ones that kind of like get listed on SEXs. So basically, like, DEXs are where like you have assets are originating, they're being born, and they're being like traded very early on, and the ones that actually make it then trade on SEXs. So what does that mean? I think what it means is if you're trading in DEXs, you should try to trade the small coins. You should kind of try to orient your strategy toward kind of meme coins, and like maybe arbitraging small coins when they first hit the SEX versus the DEX, like kind of like taking advantage of the fact that DEXs are where all these new assets are trading, and these new assets are most illiquid. They have the highest fees for liquidity providers when they first come out. and then so that's why I would kind of like have a different approach to sexes. Maybe my sex approach is more focused on things like maybe finite arbitrage or stat arb or other things where you need more data to implement the strategies.
Yeah, or probably more speed.
Right, yeah, more speed-based strategies as well.
Yeah. It's like, for example, if I have to implement a strategy, there is going to be a taker, or let's say a direction trading strategy, or I don't know, statistic arbitrage strategy, where I need like speed and all that stuff. I would probably pick an exchange like Binance or OKX or Hyperliquid also in order to run it, because it will give me more like stability, and I know that what I'm deploying will work in the future without so many problems. With DEX trading, is probably more difficult to have a stable execution over time. You can have errors, node errors. There are different type of errors that you have to be really aware of, and if you are doing a very precise strategy, probably you would prefer to do it in those type of exchanges before. But I think that overall the DEXs get a lot of traction. I don't think that it's so different. It's like, I think that the DEX traders or the people that was into DEX start calling like impermanent loss the fact that you are exposing assets that if the price goes on the opposite side, you are going to lose money. But I think that that impermanent loss thing, well, it's actually happening in all the strategies that you run in sections too. It's like if you're providing liquidity and with a simple grid strategy and the price goes down, you are taking impermanent loss. It's like a fancy way to say you buy at certain price and then the price is lower than the price that you bought. So I think that is it's very similar. The trading, it's just trading. It's that you have assets and then they are open to have.
It's like, the way I think about it is like, I think it's like, I think the thing with DEX is it's kind of really opened up the how many coins are available, because when even like 4 or 5 years ago, there was only liquidity for maybe 100 or 200 coins, and then but then after you have first you had coins being launched on Ethereum. That's what kind of drove the value of Ethereum, and now you have all these coins being launched on Solana, and then you have all the other chains as well where people are trying to launch coins, and so it's kind of like, I think that so it's like all these are new kind of like new battlegrounds where you can just like play and try to like do all kinds of strategies. The problem I think is that all these blockchains are very new, so if you want to run some type of automated strategy on these DEXs, you really kind of have to understand the technical aspects of the blockchain and be able to handle issues like the node going down, congestion, like all these other things. So that's why my overall advice is it's kind of like, I think if you're starting off from the quant trading background, right? Let's say you start off from like stock trading, I would actually just stick to sexes because it's more similar to your strategies, and then maybe evolve toward trading on like Hyperliquid, which is a DEX, but it's very similar to a order book exchange. It's very similar to SEX. On the other hand, if you're more crypto native, let's say if you're crypto native where you're really familiar with like using smart contracts, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're really familiar with wallets, and maybe you understand less of like the quant trading, algo trading, like that style of things, then I think you probably want to start with like Radium or like kind of like LP based strategies, because you're kind of like, that's very you don't need to know how to automate things. It's more about understanding how to set positions, how to kind of like stake and unstake and do that kind of stuff. But that's why I think but there are lots of opportunities, and I think actually I found to mention, I think one of the best opportunities in DEXs is the fact that you get rewarded in multiple ways. So on a SEX, usually you're paying the fees, and so if you want to make money, you have to actually make a positive, like your trading has to be good. Your buy price has to be lower than your sell price. On the DEX, there's other ways you can make money. You can earn points, get like an airdrop later on. You can earn like kind of like swap fees through the LPing. So there's kind of like sometimes it can be easier to make money because you're getting paid in multiple ways other than just trading on the DEX.
Yeah. There is a very simple one there that is all the PMM simple V2. The systematic hill you were running the perpetual market making, right? Well, try to if you switch to PMM simple V2 is good. Also, we recommend you to try the PMM that is under generic that I just deployed. It's going to be holding assets, holding position until you finally release it. But for your question that is that you're having a bunch of taker orders, change the order type from limit to limit maker. If you use the order limit maker, it's a post only order. And you will see that there are going to be some failures in your end in case that the order that you're trying to send will match and take. That's an error reported from the exchange. Is like, let's say that the price is 100 and you send a buy order of 101. The exchange will tell you, hey, if this order gets into the exchange will match and take, so it will be not created and then will fail. So don't worry if you see some failed orders, because if the price is changing, that might happen. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Then Homer says,
Yeah. Let me answer this question from Homer. I think this is a really good one for anyone who's new to DEX trading. They ask, any recommendations on technical documentation to acquire the needed knowledge to trade on DEX? That's a really good question, because I think one of the barriers that prevents people from trading on DEXs is kind of like this like fear of like uncertainty, because, and I totally understand, because when I first started, there's a lot of fear on kind of learning how to use a MetaMask or learning how to use my hardware wallet, and there's always a fear that, okay, I might do something wrong, like I might like accidentally hit a button and like lose all my money all of a sudden, right?
Or when doing the transactions,
Yeah.
when sending a transaction,
Yeah.
I will send you $1. Then
you're sending a $1 test transaction and then doing it again. So I do think there's a lot of operational best practices in that. And it's like you should always do that. But the main thing I found is the more I do it, the more I just get familiar with it. So now I think I always do my ledger, but I probably do on average probably like at least 5 transactions every day. Some days only 1 or 2, some days like 10 or 20. Just moving kind of, sometimes it's like lending, sometimes it's staking, sometimes it's LPing, but all of it is more like moving my money around on chain to earn the highest yield with the lowest risk possible. Is how I look at it. It's like the same as like I could put my US dollars in a bank account, let's say right now, and earn 5%. I can put my Solana in a staking vault on Camino and earn 5% in SOL terms. And then, or there's lending, I can earn 6%, but that gives me a bit of borrow. So to me, it's like there's really no difference between putting USD in a bank and earning 4% versus putting like a Solana in a Camino vault and earning the Solana staking yield. In both cases, I'm just earning some type of yield based on how much capital I put in. Obviously, mechanically it's different, right? When I do the bank thing, I'm like doing some type of like mobile push a button on my mobile phone. When I deposit in a Solana staking vault, I have to really understand how to use my ledger and my wallet to make sure it's safe and move assets in. But I'm basically doing the same thing, right? I'm just depositing assets into a vehicle that allows it to earn yield. So that's why I think over time, I just got to the point where, because I've done it so much over the past 5, 6 years, I can look at these two things. Like, should I deposit a stable coin in Camino, USDC, and earn right now 6%, or should I deposit USD in a bank account and earn 4%? And because the same thing, I'd rather do the Camino approach because I can earn a higher yield. So that's why I would try to get to, where like, you're so familiar with kind of like on-chain executing transactions and using DeFi that it's like the same as using CeFi, and so then you can just pick the highest yield with the most guarantee of safety, from anything.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that at some point in the future, that will be the new norm. It's like we are starting getting rid of banks because they charge you for everything, or like centralized exchange is like combined to the topic that we talked before. It's like in a sense you pay for placing liquidity. It's like insane, right? You should be paid for providing liquidity.
Yeah.
So, and the DEXs you get paid. You're paid for that. So, well, I think that it's better to get involved and experimenting. Also, for the next guy that we are going to talk about the small amount of money, is like with lower capital. I think that some part of your capital should be into lending, depending how aggressive you want to be. But yeah, that would be.
Yeah. This is a great segue actually into the second topic. Let's talk about how a small trader can get involved with market making and what are some opportunities they have. I think this is actually one of the most common questions we get, in part because Hummingbot is open source software, so anyone can just download it and use it with their wallet, and so their wallet can have zero. A lot of people probably have $0 dollars in the wallet when they first started because they're young, maybe they live in some part of the world that's not the first world, right? So but I think to me as well, it's like I think even if I did have a lot of money, if I were just starting off with Hummingbot or market making in general, I would want to start with as little as possible. Yeah. But is that really realistic? Because when you hear about market makers, you always hear about these large trading firms like Wintermute and Jane Street, and it's like how can that small guy, how can an individual really hope to compete with the large folks, right? Actually, I think this is actually one of the biggest opportunities. This is actually one of the biggest differences between crypto and TradFi. Because if you're trying to be a market maker in traditional finance, that's almost impossible. Because if just even get a license to be able to market make, be able to access the order book on NYSE, you're gonna have to you basically have to be a large financial firm like JP Morgan or Citibank. But in crypto, because anyone can access these venues, you don't have that kind of access problem. But what you do have is obviously you don't have the technology, you don't have the capital that someone like Wintermute has. So I think it's like you can trade with a very small amount of capital on, let's say, BTC, USDT on Binance, but if you're just starting off with like let's say $100, you'll probably lose money versus those guys.
Yeah.
So
and also depending on it's like, for example, if you have $100, you are excluded of some markets by default. Not by saying you can. Yeah, you can do it, but it's like I don't recommend you to do it. For example, trading on BTC on Binance with $100 is like, for example, you can't do market making because the minimum order amount, let's say that is $6, you have less than 20 orders to place before you run away before all your balance is in base asset. So it's like you have only like 20 chances, and that would be very naive because the other guys has millions of chances to play. So I would not recommend to run certain type of strategies. If you have a few amount of capital, I think that here says before lower than 10K. I think that what I will explore is like, first of all, you need to gain some traction in your portfolio by having the discipline of following like month after month, defining what percentage of your portfolio will be to more like stable things, like I don't know, USDC or in a certain pool on a DEX, earning X yield or whatever. That will probably not be that meaningful if it's a very low amount of capital, but it gives you the chance to start experimenting what looks like managing a portfolio over time. And then with a small portion of the capital, I will start deploying some bots. I think that what I recommend is to trade on perpetuals. Probably on Hyperliquid has the lowest fees. And then what you can do is to say, I don't know, I have $100 to play around. I will leverage 20 to 20, so you have 2K at maximum. So try to use 1K or something like that. And with that you can play more. Always try to play with strategies that are using very small orders. So it's like if you have 1K, don't place another 500. Just give you more chances to start experimenting and try out different things. That would be my recommendation for you. And also regarding to the first topic, that is pick the market that you wanna trade. Probably you're going to find more opportunities on markets that are not that mature. So I would recommend that probably.
Yeah, and actually, the one thing that maybe small traders don't realize is that you actually have an advantage over the large guys in some areas. You know, because for Intermediate, for example, there's actually quite a lot of arbitrage opportunities that it doesn't even make sense for them to take, because to do arbitrage, you need capital in two different markets, but you know, maybe the arbitrage opportunity is only $10. You know, or $20, and it's like if I'm Intermediate, I'm trading with $1 billion. I'm not going to go out of my way to earn that $10 profit. You know, and I've actually seen this where I've actually seen you know, pools on Solana where it's the same trading pair on like Radium and Meteora, and you know, if the markets are volatile, there's actually like arbitrage opportunities that you can manually take between these two exchanges. You know, so I think there is something where like arbitrage and especially cross exchange market making, there's kind of like an infinite long tail of opportunities. And so if you're a small player, you know, you can almost like trust that the large guys are not going to be super competitive in those spaces. You're really competing with other small players.
Yeah, and also I would like to add that if you have a small amount of capital, it will be beneficial for you to participate on a reward program, because it's like if you make money with trading, let's put in rough numbers, right? Let's say that you have very small capital, but you are the king of trading. The best hedge fund made like 50% of returns on a year. Obviously, they are managing a lot of money, so it's more difficult to make higher returns once you have more money, right? But let's say that he made 50% per year. So let's say that you are the king, and so you make 100% per year. That would be like $100 over your $100. So you make like $100, right? Okay, the next year you continue and so. But what if you can get like yield from a program? For example, I don't know, let's say the miner. Can you go to the miner platform? If you look, for example, the miner platform, the tokens are not like top tokens. There are a lot of them that are like for a long time there, but it's like if you see the go up a little bit, this week rewards pool is 5,600 and the total liquidity is 15682. So this means that the miner is giving you 5% per week for providing liquidity, right? We are just to make just to give you some information. We are not running the miner; it's running by Coin Alpha, so we are not so in theme about what is happening here. But the thing is that this is a very good way to get started, because while you are experimenting with your bots, while you are experimenting running these type of things, you can get some yield from it too.
Yeah, and actually, I would say there's also going to be more reward programs like Miner that are coming up, and I think they'll reward people who can run Hummingbot but do so on like other types of blockchains, like XRPL, for example. And I think actually momentous question. I think those are good options if you don't have access to perpetuals, because a lot of those opportunities are you're trading spot, but you're trading spot on on a blockchain based DEX, versus let's say Binance, and just arbitraging between those two. So you don't need to have access to perpetuals, and you can still trade in smaller size.
Yeah, and you can always access Hyperliquid, for example, that you will probably have access to.
Right.
Or you can use a VPN.
No.
Nah,
If you have access to the right jurisdiction. So, okay. So I think we've covered the first two topics, which was just a current state of DEX trading and market making for small firms. Let's move on a bit. Let's talk about sex DEX arbitrage in particular. Guys, feel free to add more topics if you want us to address other topics. But I think we are going to try to talk about AI. We definitely want to try to get to AI, before the end of the live stream. So maybe I can just give my quick thoughts on sex arbitrage. This is actually a strategy that I ran a lot myself, targeting tokens on the miner platform, especially when the miner platform first launched. Back then. It was actually quite easy to kind of like set up bots where you're market making even on Binance for tokens like, let's say, Decred USDT, but you could hedge in like Decred USDC, on the same market, or you could run a bot on like Decred BTC, and then kind of like use the basis of BTC USDT to try to hedge. But overall, I think the miner platform is a good one to launch like any type of like sex DEX arbitrage strategies, because for example, let's take a token like Decred, which trades on Binance. If I just provided liquidity, if I ran a pure market making bot and I provided liquidity to this pair, I'm probably taking a good amount of risk, right? Because to earn rewards, I'll probably need to have my spreads somewhere below 1% on either side. Right now, the average bid spread and average ask spread that miners are deploying is basically less, 0.6% on the bid side and 0.94%. So if I just ran a pure market making bot, if the price of Decred goes up and down, I'm exposed to inventory risk on either side. But I can run a cross-exchange market making bot and try to hedge the risk of Decred. And so how do I do that? All I have to do is look at where the token trades on let's say Binance, and see what other markets it might trade. So if I look at Decred, it trades on Binance, but it also trades on other exchanges. So we can look at, let's say, the 2% depth here. It's bigger. Let's make my hedge a little smaller. Just explain this a little bit more. Okay, so basically, so we can see that the 2% depth on Binance is the most liquid market, but this token does trade on other exchanges as well. So one thing we can do is we can try to make a market on Binance and try to hedge our exposure. Try to make sure that we're always placing orders where we can hedge our exposure on other exchanges more easily. And so, obviously, ideally, you want to do this in a market where you're actually providing liquidity to a less liquid market and hedging on more liquid ones. Binance is usually the most liquid market for pair, so maybe instead of doing so on this DCR USDT and pair in Binance, you may want to look at other pairs on other exchanges. For example, Firo USD on Ascendex, and hedge the Firo risk on Binance. But I think overall, I think the miner platform is a good one to experiment with sex DEX, cross-exchange market making, and arbitrage, because you're getting some liquidity rewards for providing liquidity here, and so it helps you offset any losses you might have. And I do think I think right now with the new gateway connectors, there should be a lot of kind of cross-exchange arbitrage between, especially the new tokens coming out on Solana, and kind of like and basically just like where they get listed on sexes, because every day there are many tokens that are graduating from Solana. Typically, you look at Gecko Terminal or DEX Screener. Many of the high volume tokens, like the ones here, are Solana only right now. Like Launchcoin, for example, everyone's talking about this coin because it's like the new kind of like potential pump dot fund competitor. Yeah, it's a new platform. It's actually this might be interesting for the folks out there. So there's been a number of pump dot fund competitors that have gained some traction recently. Two in particular. One is Launchcoin. So the way Launchcoin works is that if you have a tweet, anyone can send out a tweet, and then Launchcoin will turn it into a coin. So Zora actually basically has something similar, but the difference with this is like the team behind Launchcoin will try to curate, see like which ones actually are using the system, and the best ones they'll try to like amplify and try to like promote them. So the overall idea is that if you're a founder, you want to have an idea for a startup, you could just do it as tweet, and if there's enough like traction behind that idea, then then it's like it's validation. So you should actually go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So it's actually interesting, and it's actually I think they're actually using Meteora, if I'm not mistaken, as like the backend. So actually, I think if we integrated in Meteora, their Launchpad SDK, it would actually support Launchpad.
Oh, nice.
And then the other one that's getting traction is Bonk. Actually, so yeah, I'll show you guys.
Hummingbot?
Yeah, Bonk. I think it's called Bonk Live. Bonk Live. But basically, Bonk has a Bonk. I think it's Let's Bonk. Bonk. Fun. Like that. Yeah. So Bonk also has a launch pad where you can launch. They have all these new coins are launching, and this is actually using the Radium Launch Lab SDK under the hood. So like the Radium strategy is to like it's kind of like developer focused. It's kind of try to get other platforms to like build on top of their Launchpad spec. So in some ways, like I think it's interesting because Pump.Fun obviously has the most volume right now for all the new tokens launching, but it seems like both Meteora and Radium are trying to compete with them in different ways.
Yeah.
By working with partners like Bonk and I think what's it Launchcoin. Yeah, this Believe coin. I don't know what the website is. Launchcoin Twitter. I think the Twitter is the main site. This one. Yeah, this one here. But Believe.app is the app. But yeah, it's interesting. I think there's between Believe and Bonk and Radium and Meteor, I think we're gonna start seeing variation in the Launchpad space.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that Pump is already like if you're a serious project, you're probably right like to run launch in Pump, unless
that's true.
You have connections with less Bonk or have connections with Believe or
and actually all three are they have like these creation fees. So sometimes like depending on which platform you launch on, you get more portion of the fees if your coin graduates to the AMM.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so overall I'm actually really curious to see if one of them, if Pump continues to win or if these other guys kind of like can continue. Okay, all right, so that's why I think overall I think this is kind of why sex arbitrage in my opinion between Solana and like other chains and exchanges makes sense, because every day you have all these venues that are basically launching this kind of stuff, all the coins launching on this Twitter account here, and other platforms too. So but every day there's probably at least my guess at least 10 to 20 coins which are gaining some critical traction, getting listed on a SEX, and as soon as they're listed on a SEX, the SEX has to buy the coins and actually provide liquidity for them in order to maintain the order book. And so as soon as the prices move on the DEX, there's going to be arbitrage opportunities between that and SEX.
It's here. It's not here, XRP, right?
It is, right there, XRP right there.
Oh, you know that.
XRP pools, yeah. RLUSD, yeah. Actually, we should actually use this data in our RLUSD. That's pretty good. Actually, look at those arbitrage opportunities. Oh my God, look at that. It's trading at like 101 right now.
Well, here you have some opportunities, guys.
Guys, look at this. Guys, this is perfect right here. Look at this. You can just run Hummingbot on XRPL right now, and like just arbitrage XRP RUSD versus like XRP USDT.
Yeah. Well, actually, you don't need to arbitrage. You just need to wait until it's 0.99.
Yeah.
Then sell when it's 1.1.
Actually, that's true. Yeah. It's hard to arbitrage right now because there's probably no short market for this thing.
No, but you can just run a grid strike.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Actually, you start a grid strike because like the grid. Actually, do you want to explain how the grid strike strategy would work in this case? Like.
Yeah, you just need to go and determine here like. Okay, this is like, I don't know your keyboard how it is, but I think that maybe this works. Yeah, it works. So let's say that you're going to trade in this range, for example. So you will probably want to put this as the start price. This.
We move our okay.
Yeah,
just move that.
Or I can do.
Let's make it smaller or something here.
Yeah, it's here, eh?
This is a border, I think. Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, I can also do it like this. Okay, so in the grid strike, you will probably want to put this as a start price, this as an end price, and the limit price you can put it like, I don't know, somewhere. So let me see, because the limit price, if you depending on if you put like keep position, or if you put like instead of keep position you put like how to say, if you put keep position true, when the grid reaches the limit price, let's say the limit price is this one. Let's say you put the limit price somewhere here. Let's change the color. So we see another color. Let's say that this is the limit price and this is the grid strategy running. Once the price reaches this price, the grid will be stopped, and if you have keep position equal to true, we'll keep all the inventory in RLUSD. If it's keep position false, we'll reverse it. In this case, we don't want to reverse it because we are just wanting to hold the assets. We are in spot. So I would recommend to do that. Actually, do you have the dashboard running?
No, not right now.
Okay, no problem. Because then we can see how to set it up. In the dashboard, there is a page that that shows you that. Like, actually, I think that we can use.
Yeah, actually, I think Mento asked you to maybe explain maybe a bit. Like basically, what strategy to
what
run?
strategy is a okay? The grid strike is a strategy that you can find here in Hummingbot. It's like Hummingbot. Well, let's go here and then here. Here in I also want to use the dev branch. Dev. So here under controllers, you will see that you have direction trading, generic, or market making. Here in generic, you will find a few of these controllers. One is this grid strike. It's a very simple controller that the only thing that you need to do is to pick the connector, the trading pair, the side, and the start price, end price, and limit price. Okay? So then obviously total amount quote, mean spread between orders. This is how far each order will be against the other one. The minimum amount in quote for the orders. Max open orders, this is really interesting because if you put max open orders, I don't know, 100, it will let you put 100 orders in the book. If you put max open orders 5, it will place the orders are closer to the mid price, but at maximum the max open orders that you put. And max open orders per batch is if you are going to be sending orders, let's say that you can send orders, we'll send at maximum 1, in this case by default, order per batch. This means that each tick of the controller will say, okay, can I send an order? Yes. How many orders can I send? Maybe you can send 5 orders. but well, this will limit how many orders you are sending. This parameter is cool to prevent rate limits and all that stuff in case that you're running multiple bots and all that stuff. And the order frequency is like with what frequency the grid will replace orders in case that you have to send another order. And activation bounds, well, you know, you can watch other videos. It's more complex, this one, but it's like, let's say that the activation bounds is 0.2%, means that, let's say here is 0.2, means that from here to here, from to above is everything allowed, but from this part is the restriction. So all the orders from here to here are not going to count. We'll only count the orders from here to here, well, from here to here to place. This is to prevent placing a lot of orders that then someone can take, and you are exposed to that loss, right? But this is an interesting thing to use. Mostly probably on sexes, you would like to use this in case that you are doing like more edition trading. And the keep position, that you need to put it as true. So in a spot you keep the position if the price goes below the grid.
Yeah.
The take profit is a take profit that we are going to use for each order. There is also a parameter in the grid, that in the config of the grid, that you can put. I think that is here, is the formal status here. Well, I think that there is a configuration that you can also pass to the grid later on if you want. You can search it. It should be in this grid executor. Here is coerce TP to step. If you also pass this one as true, means that if the step between orders is 0.2 and your take profit is 0.1, you will coerce the take profit to be as the same size as the step. So if you pass this as true, will be the step.
Yeah.
Just to tell you that.
Yeah. I want to try to address some of the questions, but Memento, just on a high level, maybe I can just grab 1 second. So I think like on a high level, I think the intuition around why a grid strategy on this pair on XRPL makes sense is that fundamentally it's like this pair, it's a stable pair, right? RUSD USD is a very safe pair to make a market in because we all know the price is going to be 1. And the right price is 1. So when the price is 99, you probably want to buy. When the price is 101, you probably want to sell. So the question is really like, how do you set up a bot to automatically, do that for you, right? And that's why the grid strike is perfect, because you're defining a price range, and you're saying, when it's below, when it's below the certain price, I want to put buy orders on the book. When it's above the certain price, I don't want to sell orders. So that's why I think if you read the docs, understand how the grid strike strategy works. But I think that because the reason this works is because Ripple blockchain is still very illiquid. So it's like it's hard to take because there's not much liquidity. However, because it's liquid, you can almost bet that it's going to do this kind of stuff. And so if you set up a bot where you're sending orders at 99. You're setting orders at 99 point, you're buying as it goes down, and you're selling as it goes above 1, then it's actually very safe, right? It's hard to actually lose a lot of money, but I think over time you should be able to make money. So yeah, that's why I actually think, given your situation, which is you're based in the U.S., you can't access perpetuals, you maybe don't want to use a lot of capital. I think trading on XRPL, doing sex arbitrage and cross exchange like this is actually a really good way to start.
Yeah. There was another question before from this guy, says when the new gateway will be ready. Oh,
great, yeah. Let me take that question. Yeah, let me answer Hudson's question, which is, do you have any idea when the new gateway will be ready to use? So I'm happy to report that in the next release, version 2.6, we're going to have the final version of the new gateway ready. So if you guys want to use it already, you can already do so in this pull request. There's a pull request right now, which our team is testing, called the Gateway v2.6 updates. So if you run this branch alongside the same kind of companion branch on the Hummingbot side, this one should be basically the final kind of version of Gateway that's ready for use and for people to contribute other connectors into. So basically this is a Hummingbot branch 7612, and this corresponds with this Gateway branch. So this Gateway branch actually completes the refactor because all the connectors are now using the new standard. The connectors that has are Uniswap on the Ethereum side, Radium, Meteora, and Jupiter on the Solana side. And in addition, it has the Solana chain connector and the Ethereum chain connector. Now, there might be some issues. We're still kind of like testing all the endpoints here. So if you look at this PR, there's a number of issues that our QA team is still testing. They're making sure that all the routes work, and we're trying to make sure we're adding kind of like rate limits and error handling for the other routes. But overall, I think the schema is in place already. We're not going to change the route structure anymore. So I think it's a good time to allow external contributors to start adding new connectors into Gateway.
Yeah, once it's merged.
Once it's merged, yeah. So basically, it should be merged by end of this month. So I think, by the end of this month, you guys should be able to use like this new version of Gateway, and eventually it will start basically replacing the older version of Gateway.
Yeah. Nice. I also want to add an answer to Gratitude that says, as a US citizen, I'm very limited on sex due KYC. What sex do you have using HB users? Well, as Memento says, you can use Kraken, Coinbase, Sendex. I think, for me, I will not run, like, for example, a market making bot there because you are only going to lose money because of the fees. They're really high. I would recommend to use OKX because apparently OKX works in the US. And actually, I recommended to one of our botcamp students to try it out and create an account, and he told me no, it's impossible. But the last year when we were collaborating with Cornell University, they were able to create OKX account and run OKX in the US. Oh. So I would really recommend to check OKX. That will work on the US, and also check the Hyperliquid connector. That should work for you too. Yeah. Also validate that.
Yeah, in general, I think the perpetual DEXs are easier to access for people. So Hyperliquid, Derive is another one.
Yeah,
and DYDX.
Yeah, and then Beo is like I see like.
Oh, okay. In Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, there is a game that is Beo, ¿qué ves? What do you see? A thing. Well, Beo says, how can I train directional on Hyperliquid? With any of the directional trading controllers, you can trade on Hyperliquid. Actually, what I recommend is to check here in controllers, directional trading. They have a very good a set of parameters that you can already use. So I will give this to see that in this method is where you define what is the signal that you want to trade. Actually, the first videos that I started doing in the live stream was how to convert the trading view strategy into a Hummingbot strategy. So if you look in our YouTube channel, you will see that there is actually one video that says converting a Pine script strategy into Hummingbot. But well, actually, you can either copy this file, go to Cloud Code. Can I open a new one?
Yeah.
And say, I don't know, this is a Bollinger controller. Please create a super trend one, to a super trend one. Yeah. So you just paste this, and Cloud now is, or Cloud or ChatGPT, they are really good, and the code is really easy to. Wait, no, this is doing the things wrong actually. Maybe I have to copy this because it didn't do the. What is here? I would say go create a version of this directional strategy, but as a trend follower using super trend and means and even this is the example of voting, something like this, and then you pass this. So now it's, I think that it didn't allow the web search. Oh yeah, but it didn't do the web search. So you see that now super trend, multiplier, fast, slow, it actually did it very well. And if you run this, you will see that automatically when you start the bot and you run format status, you do status live, you will see that in the terminal of Hummingbot will appear the candles in real time and the value of your indicators on the signal. So it's like you can now use AI to run these directional strategies very simply, and I will do it for you. The most important thing is to put the configuration parameters that you want, build the indicator, so then at the end you have the signal being 1 for long and -1 for short.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. A couple of things. Hey Setvin. I saw your note on that GitHub issue. I'm happy to unban you from Discord. And sorry about that. I really thought you were an AI bot. Based on your some of the things you're saying, but I think obviously sometimes like enthusiastic users we kind of mistake for AI bots, but I'm happy to unban you. I think I'll try to remind Carlito. If not, you can always DM me. I can unblock you. Well, one thing actually, I actually want to segue to AI because we really want to get into how AI can improve both Hummingbot and how users can use Hummingbot. But one thing I wanted to make note of, I think the video that you did on how to convert a Pine script strategy into Hummingbot is really useful. Because that's a question we get all the time. Let me actually just try to find it real fast, so I can just point the users audience to it.
I'm going to do an edit.
Yeah, maybe we can ask Carlito to.
I think that was Rahash, the one that sent the video. I know what it is, so I can easily find it. Live. Convert this one.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Rah was when I was reading me. Oh no. So here we saw the indicator how it was, and then here we did some explanation of how the strategy works, because I didn't understand what he was doing at first, so I tried to discuss what he's actually doing, and then we were using Quant's lab to design the strategy and see indicator. Here is for example the values that we were getting, so we compare it up to, we have the same graph that guy was using, and then after that we coded with the controller. We did some back testing, some other stuff. So yeah, okay. It was a good session, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that there is a version this one you can send this link, but there is also like another one. Is this one? I think that between this stream and this stream, we did like everything. So
Okay.
we check this too.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I think we should have Carlito maybe like edit these and turn them into a
Yeah. Or I can.
produced video.
I can.
Yeah, here. I'll just put these two in the chat for now, and then. But yeah, I think that I do think we should try to do this. What was it again? It was a Hummingbot live 5 months ago, right? This one. These two. Okay. Just put them in the chat just for now, so we don't forget them, and we'll try to edit these videos later on, so define script. Actually, I'll put them in script. And let's see, I'll do 2. And this one here. Okay. All right. So we got two videos in the chat. I don't know, Carlito, if you're on, but we definitely should turn these into some type of series. I think that hopefully we answered most of the questions that people presented in the chat. Let me just take a look. Can you use meme coins? I mean, you can use any coin that exchange trades. So I think if you just it's the way how it works is we connect to the exchange, we pull the trading pairs from the exchange, or we allow users to define your tokens. But whatever is available on exchange, you can trade with Hummingbot.
Yeah. One thing besides this, I'm talking. Then we are going to analyze the situation with Mike probably and see what's the next steps with this. But be careful when doing this and use AI to help you understanding that there is no security issue. Mostly if you are not a core dev and you don't read the code that someone is doing for you. But there was one guy that just talked to me that was a scam by another one by introducing malicious code to reveal the seed. So if you're doing DEX trading, it's like if you're doing sex trading, the first recommendation is never put the withdrawal feature allowed for the API keys. That's the first thing. Then don't worry, it's like at least they can just trade for you. But the difficult thing is when you are dealing with wallets. So be really careful, change the passwords, don't use the main passwords. Use AI if someone is contributing code to you, even if it's in Hummingbot or in any codebase. Be really careful. But we know that there is probably a scammer going around. But there is a full of scammers, but be careful with that because you can lose money actually.
We should start warning people more because someone reported someone create a strategy for them, I think, and somehow injected malicious code into that strategy.
Yeah, it's another codebase. I'm checking it, but
that's what the US. Okay, it was some other code base that he.
Yeah, because this is not like index source WebSocket index.js. Is the API that he was doing. So yeah, it's like these type of things is really bad.
Yeah, I would say in general, I think that the basically preventing malicious code from getting Hummingbot is probably one of our biggest areas of concern. That's actually why we have governance. Because the more exchanges are in Hummingbot, the more like random SDKs and libraries we're installing. So we want to ideally make sure that we're only supporting the exchanges people want to trade on, and then only installing libraries from trusted supported venues. Okay, well, I wanted to wrap up a bit and talk about AI. Obviously, the most exciting topic of the moment. And actually, Fede and I have been doing a lot of experimentation and using AI ourselves. We've been using kind of all the AI editors to help us maintain and work on Hummingbot more efficiently. And so as part of that, I think we also kind of have some ideas on how we can incorporate AI into Hummingbot in the future. So do you want to kick out things and explain what we have in mind?
Yeah, well, based on what Mike said, at first, no, I am very skeptical about like coding with AI at some point, because it's like every time that I ask for something, it does a bunch of things that probably were not necessary. But that was because I was using Cursor. Now I found that using Cloud Code really changed the way that I see how you can interact with AI to code. Is like much more smarter than, probably because it's the integration with his own model, right? But it's really interesting how Cloud Code understands the context that is around in the code base, propose different things. It's still doing a lot of mess. It's like I wasted 2 times trying with a PR that last night I code for half an hour and I solved the issue. But well, overall, with some simple things like APIs and everything, works really well. But the question is how we can integrate it with Hummingbot, right? Or what are the things that we can do with Hummingbot? I think that the biggest, actually yesterday I was thinking I have to do this for me now, is to, for me, the first thing that will be really good will be automating the control of our portfolio and the control of what are we running, or what we can run, and run it for ourselves. So I think that that's the most painful thing that a person that develops strategies, develops tools, and also wants to run bots has, because you need to deploy the backend API, whatever. In some point, deploy the dashboard. The dashboard is a little bit buggy, so because it's Streamlit and it's very big, the dashboard project, so it's slow. So you need to have a simple way to say I want to deploy this, and don't worry about clicking buttons and all that stuff. It's like AI should be doing that for you now. So I think that would be a really good use case for AI, and with Hummingbot too.
Yeah, and specifically, I think the way to think about this is, I think it's actually why Fede did that presentation a couple weeks ago on building MTP server, into backend API. Because I think one of the things about AI, which is good, is it can respond. It can look at a bug, look at some configs you have, and give you a recommendation for how to do it better. So that's why I think the first thing we did was we were experimenting last week. We did a talk on building MTP server. This one.
Yeah, the last one was if you go to the end.
Yeah, here's an example. So here's an example where Fede, after he created the MCP server, he's using it in, was it in Claude or in
it was Cursor.
So he connected the MCP server to Cursor, and he's basically using it to query the server, and the server is basically connected to the backend API. So he knows how to fetch candles, he knows how to deploy bots, he knows how to kind of manage a system of bots. And he's basically just using it to ask questions using natural language, and getting responses.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm just saying create a config long between this and this, show between this and this, and it's creating it's getting the configs that are available. You have to accept the run tools. Then you say, okay, let me create the configurations. You will create, and then we'll try to upload them. So it's like very straightforward what it can do. If you find an error, you can just edit there. Keep position true, and we'll let it it's probably much more simpler than if you are trying to do it with any UI, because you can just edit the file that's going to upload.
Yeah, and I think over time, but we can also give it like kind of like set proper defaults. You know, give it like error handling, and so give it more like maybe it's more like an agent that helps you define the config. Maybe tells you, okay, you know, based on this, you know, your spreads are too wide. You know, because they should be more like in this range. You know, things like that where it's actually trying to help you. And so that's why I think this is actually the difference between creating like an MCP interface versus just like a server. You know, because we just created like an API. I mean, you'd have to understand how to use the API to use it properly.
Yeah.
But I think with MCP server, we can kind of make the configuration process much easier for users.
Yeah. Actually, I think that is the right way, because if we improve the MCP server and we give more context, it's like for each of the controllers that we have, we should either write a document that then AI can load and understand like for what each parameter is, or either create a workflow where an AI looks for the type of parameters that are there, looks if the parameter has certain things, and creates itself a document that can explain the strategy.
Yeah.
And set default parameters and so.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that is really cool. In that live stream, we ended up like deploying the bots. Actually, the Solana bots are deployed there already. So that would be interesting.
Yes, and I think to me it's like the fundamental challenge we have at Hummingbot is how do we make this really complicated piece of software easier to use for people, you know? Because even for me, it's like I don't even know all the strategies of Hummingbot, even though I've been working on it for many years, because I'm only comfortable with certain types of strategies. Yeah, and so I think if AI can basically help me lower that barrier to entry, where I feel confident in deploying a bot, I know that someone's like a trusted expert has helped me, you know, develop the configuration, selected the strategy, deploy the bot for me, monitoring it for any issues, and that just gives me the kind of the confidence to try, you know, new things with Hummingbot more and more. So that's how I think about AI. It's like ideally it's gonna help people, you know, learn and trust new technologies more easily, and so that will help us grow the user base more than it is.
And see how it's like doing what I am saying, like deploy the bots, and it's crazy that.
Yeah, and so I think part of it is really just kind of like making sure we have structured APIs for the backend API. We have, you know, and incorporating like things like gateway into us. We can fetch DEX prices and execute transactions on DEXs, and then just exposing more capabilities to that MCP server and showing examples on how you can connect that MCP server to your, you know, to your cursor or to your Copilot or whatever interface you want.
Yeah, Memento is saying that he found a set of APIs that provide information to the LLM. Nice. A few APIs. Yeah, and that what you're saying, Memento, is right. Is that the cloud code gets confused with the number of tools that has. But also that's because at some point cloud code is not intended to be like 100% for Hummingbot. So at some point what I want to do is to create an agent that just is the prompt itself is like referencing that it's a Hummingbot assistant. So it'll be more like an Hummingbot assistant that we can use Claude in the background. So yeah, that would be something cool.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's still early days. But I think there's a lot of potential with how the AI landscape is evolving right now. You know, because it's like especially with this MCP thing, I finally can understand how Hummingbot should be positioned in this world. You know, because like, even just like actually I would say like I've been using a lot of Claude Code recently, and just seeing kind of how this utility it's basically like, I think the way that Claude the engineer put it is that Claude Code is almost like just like a Unix utility. It's like grep or you know curl. It's like something you can run on your computer, and so it's like if you just give it access to different servers, this thing can be very powerful. You know, so I think that so Hummingbot I think can be both like an agent,
Yeah.
but it can also be like a data store
Yeah.
for those agents.
Tomás Gaudina, that is German, can be also Tomás Quantino. That's what
Yeah.
I should start with a little jingle.
Yeah.
Actually, we
Yeah,
can.
you didn't play. You should show off your talents.
It turns off like automatically.
Yeah. You turn the volume up there.
Now Mike has to start rapping.
AI generated. All right. Well, yeah, systematic. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, he asked. Yeah, he wanted to thank us for the hard work. Yeah, honestly, you're very welcome. And for me, honestly, it's an honor to work on Hummingbot because I never imagined when I was young that I would get to work on a job that I really look forward to every day, and work on like learn new things, work on with like one of my best friends, and to be able to serve like the community of people who are just like me, who are looking for tools to use and looking to support and give back to the ecosystem. So
yeah, me too. It's really nice to work here also with Mike, even if I kicking ass in the ping pong. Yesterday we went to play.
Yeah, this guy's actually pretty good at ping pong, but I'm still better at foosball. So.
Nah, football he gives me, but yeah.
But anyway, so I would say thank you everyone for joining this live stream. We'll try to do more of these, if we're in person again later on this year. But usually we do them ourselves because we want to show you guys, some new things. It's much easier to code one-on-one. Next week we're probably going to not do live stream because we're at the Solana conference. But I do want to say if any of you guys are in New York next week, just give us a shout out on Discord or wherever, and we'll try to meet up in person.
Yeah, he wants to order some Halo.
Oh yeah. Actually, honestly, we need to get this started. We need to get a Canvas store, something where people can order merch. So thanks for the reminder, Systematic. We'll try to get that done. Yeah, definitely before end of the year. I think we should be pretty easy to stand up.
And also we will try to make a blog of the conference too.
Yeah.
So we have the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We both got the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, so we're gonna try to record some scenes from the Solana conference and maybe have my daughter turn it into a video. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time, and thank you for joining us.